Welcome to the Level 1 Lounge, where we give our uneducated take on anything and everything gaming. Today's episode, we're going to be getting into remasters and remakes. But before we start doing that today, we're going to hit the power button, start our boot up. So we're going to start off with a gaming update, find out what everyone's been playing. So I'm actually going to kind of kick things off here a little bit. I haven't really been too vocal about it. It's not really gaming related, but in the last little while, I've actually been on a weight loss journey, and I am still working on dropping a few more pounds. But we had a little bit of a contest between Ryder and I that we just finished up. The goal was that I would walk or run on the elliptical for 150 kilometers within 30 days. And I am proud to say that I completed that today. And I actually had 3 more days to complete my goal. The idea was that when I hit that 150 kilometers, that we would get Ryder to either play Spider-Man on the PS4 version or God of War as well. So one of the two. So now that I've got that 150 kilometers in, I'm actually really interested to hear which game he's going to be looking at jumping into now that I've lived up to my side of the deal. So do you want to kick that off today and tell us what you're going to be streaming this weekend?
Well, I won't tell you directly what it is, but I'll give you a hint. You'll find out soon enough, boy.
Awesome.
I know, I
I'm
know,
very
I know.
excited.
If that's not a dead giveaway, I don't know what is.
Oh, it's very much a giveaway. You're going to love it. I will definitely be watching your stream this weekend. I know you're probably going to be kicking that off on Sunday. I promise no backseat gaming from my end. But other than that, what do you have on the go these days, there, Ryder?
uh, well, I finally finished getting the multiplayer mastery camos for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So I did all the grinding. It surprisingly enough, even for casual players, it's actually really easy to do. It's a little on the tedious side for a couple of guns, but super easy. Nothing really too outlandish, but yeah, it was just something I wanted to do. So I did that. I restarted another Baldur's Gate 3 character as well. I
Nice.
heard about this particular character combination from a couple friends online, just to see how absolutely busted I can get these combos, and it's a monk rogue fighter.
Oh boy, that
So
sounds
basically,
incredible.
think of it this way: like with a bunch of the monk bonuses, getting movement speed bonuses, taking the assassin subclass for rogue. With an initiative high enough that you always go first, which means your attacks are always sneak attacks. They're always critical hits. And with fighter, you have multiple attacks.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I may have to check that out.
it gets ridiculous once you unlock the potential of it.
You were also talking about a platinum run for Final Fantasy 16. Is that still an ongoing thing that you're working on now as well?
Yeah, still kind of poking at it. Just kind of doing that one kind of more or less in my downtime. I'll clear a chapter here, clear a chapter there. Probably still be a while yet before I get the platinum on that one, but that'll be coming.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Chewy, what have you been up to these days? What have you been have on the go?
Holidays took me basically away from all my gaming stuff, except for that Steam Deck there. That came along with me. I still didn't turn it on. I've been working my way through Assassin's Creed, the first original Assassin's Creed. Never played it. Still finishing it. I think I'm 2 memory blocks away from finishing that. And then I'll
Nice.
probably go into Fallout 3 because I haven't played a Fallout game. On that Vita, I am playing God of War 2. That's rarely played. It cramps my hands up. Doesn't feel good. On the Quest, I'm working on Resident Evil 4 VR. Yeah, and then PC, PlayStation, they're kind of collecting dust right now. I
Yeah, we
actually
were.
saw how dusty my PC was the other day and felt bad. I took it apart and airbrushed it out.
Well, we do have a couple. I still have a couple games sitting over here waiting for you to borrow to for me to lend out here to you. Like you were talking about Resident Evil 4 after I'm done or after you're done your run there on
Yeah,
in
I'd love to
VR and
compare those two. Yeah.
and also Spider-Man 2. So we'll figure that all out. All right, well, we'll jump over to Rock. What have you gotten on the go these days? I know you've been kind of busy with the holidays and stuff wrapping up, though, but anything on the go?
Yeah, lots of visiting, and I've been pretty busy. And boys, I got big news. Big news. I'm excited to announce that I am now a married man in Starfield.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Big surprise.
you had
Big
me there
surprise.
for a second. I was thinking, like, crap, I didn't get an invite. I hear we've always talked that if that ever happened, I'd be your best man and all
No,
that
we
stuff.
eloped.
So,
We eloped off to Paradiso or whatever that place is called, and didn't invite anybody with us. So it was nice. It was
Did
the
you pick
lucky lady's
Sarah or
name.
Andrea?
The lucky lady's name is Sarah. Yeah. So it was a beautiful wedding. You had the sunset, and that was great. But yeah, other than that, that was really my only big gaming accomplishment over the holidays here.
well, with the announcements with Game Pass today with Valhalla and Resident Evil 2, are those going to be ones that you're going to check out as well, or?
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, I got so much on the go. I got to finish Starfield, and then I don't know if I should hop into the other games that I bought over that last sale there first, and then maybe get to the Game Pass stuff because it'll be on there for a while, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully. But I mean, they're taking Grand Theft Auto off, and it's only been there for 3 months, right? So, but we'll see how
Wow.
things go. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, Irish Bandit, how about yourself? I know you've been doing some streaming here the last little while too, but
Yes, sir.
what do you have on the go?
Recently jumped back into Death Stranding. I was saying last time that well, I was waiting for something to happen, and something happened, and that I was actually happy about that. Well, not knowing what was going to happen, being like I was just thrust into the deep end, it was just had to figure out what to do with that. My first major battle with a BT in the game, so happy to get back into that. I've started in on Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis since it came on Steam. I tried playing it on my iPhone, and that just not was not a pleasurable experience because iPhone screens like that big.
Yeah.
But it's nice to actually play it on my monitor where I can see everything. So now I'm just getting used to that and seeing how that plays out. Picked up a couple new games on the free Epic free thing that they do every year. Words are hard.
Yeah.
What did I pick up? I picked up Fallout 3 and Ghost Runner.
Nice.
So
me too.
Yeah. That Ghost Runner 2's coming out pretty quick, I think,
that's
if
pretty
it
much why I
isn't
picked
already
that one
out.
up.
Yeah.
And I saw
And
Plague's Tale. Don't remember what it's called, but I saw that's free today.
there's
Innocence. It's
Innocence.
free
Yeah,
today.
Yes, that's
Innocence
it.
and Requiem. Both of them are fantastic games, but you really have to be in the right mindset because they are dark. Uh,
Yeah,
but
Innocence is the
definitely
one
a
that's free
worthy.
on Epic Store right now. But
oh, nice. I didn't know. I saw you post that today, Chewy, but I didn't know
yeah,
that was free.
I'll have to remember to grab
grab
those when I
it
get a
Yeah,
chance.
and
before
Yeah.
I think it's mid-morning tomorrow that it'll switch over.
Yeah, about 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
and
All right.
PlayStation fans can get, or PlayStation Plus subscribers can also get the sequel, which is Requiem, which came out late in 2021, I believe, is when it came out. So I know Chew's excited to get into that one, but yeah, that one was a hell of a ride. It was fantastic. For me, I finished up my run for Final Fantasy 16. I wanted to replay it to get into the DLC, so I did finish the DLC. I did feel that it was a little bit shorter than what I was really hoping and expecting. I'm hoping that there's going to be more to do in the next one. I've realized that my save file is MIA for Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I've been kind of doing a speed run for that, kind of on the side. The biggest one that I did was I actually picked that I started here. I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 on Series X here a couple weeks ago. I tried getting into it a few years ago, and I got to the first little while, and I thought it was really, really boring. I don't know what it was. I took a break from it, and now I'm absolutely hooked, and I am so excited to get into it a little bit further. But it's such a massive game that I'm almost feeling a little overwhelmed at times as well. So that's where I kind of been taking a break with Final Fantasy VII to
That's
get
pretty
the
common with you to play a game, yeah, feel pretty mid on it, and then pick it up a break later, and then fall in love with it. Days Gone did that for you.
yeah
Um,
Witcher 3, which is my
yeah,
favorite game of all time. I didn't care for it at first, and then I did a little bit more research on the backstory, and then it just hooked me. And I cannot talk enough about that game.
and now you have that
I've
Witcher
got
poster right there.
yeah, right behind me. Then I've dumped 1,000 hours in at least into The Witcher 3. There's probably more, but anyways, yeah, I haven't tried it with the update yet. I really got to get on that. So now that that's aside, we're gonna get into the meat of it. So now the system's powered up. Time for level 1. So news updates here. We've got a couple. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead on our schedule here a little bit because Rock was kind of brought this up with something that happened today. I'm going to actually throw it over to him and let him discuss it. There was a record or something that was broken with Tetris today. Somebody actually was able to complete it. So I wanted to kind of give him the floor to actually be able to discuss it. I know Chewy may have had a couple things to add, but I'll throw it over to them to discuss that event that happened today.
Yeah, so I actually believe it was on the 21st of December last
Okay.
month there. Yeah, Blue Scuddy. I'm not sure what his actual pronunciation of that is, but he's like a 13-year-old kid, and there was like this one guy that they thought was gonna do it first, and then this kid just came out of nowhere. He'd been practicing 3 to 5 hours a day, and yeah, he caused the first game crash screen, first human-caused game crash screen. So that's pretty exciting. New record there for him.
It's even wilder about this story is he missed his first 100% chance of kill screening, and he ended up having to go a couple more levels, I think, and get
Two or
a
three, yeah.
yeah, and then he got the kill screen.
Yeah. So that's
And
pretty
that
exciting.
was only like a 73 or 75% chance of it actually working.
So I guess there's still a record there. You could still get it sooner than him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but he's just the first one to do it, which is pretty cool for a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, that game's been around forever. So,
Like
I
what,
mean,
35 years?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I mean, there's a little bit of history though too. I know we don't talk too much about it, but there's a movie that was made based on the creation and the introduction to it on Game Boy, and it was definitely worth a watch. And
Fantastic
kind of
movie.
yeah, it was really good. But yeah, that's amazing that happened. Um, the next piece of news that we've got here, I want to jump back to one of the things we've got. I know a few of us are really excited for it. Star Wars Outlaws has been slated for a late 2024 release. I'm a little disappointed it's going to be that long, but I would rather see games actually be completed rather than anything.
That
Chewy.
update has
Been
been
rushed.
updated. Late's been pulled from it. It's just 2024 now.
Oh, okay. Well,
But it's
maybe it'll
still
be
this
earlier
year,
then.
so
Could be
Yes.
earlier, yeah.
No, that'd be great. But I mean, the development team this is one of their strongest teams in my mind when it comes to Ubisoft, because this is the same team that has been working on the Division and Division 2. So it's very exciting to see what direction that this game is going to be going. And I mean, how many times have we had an opportunity to play as a smuggler? I know I'm not the
Old
only
Republic.
one that's older. Okay. I, unfortunately, that's one that I slept on. I definitely want to give that one a shot though at some point, but Yeah, I know I'm all aboard the hype train for that one for sure. Um, so anyways, yeah, so I know basically the real question is who isn't going to be picking it up in this group.
I mean, I
Anyone?
just saw bits of the
Bueller?
trailer for it, and looks good to me. So it might be one I'll check out too. So
Yeah. Um, the next thing that we'll jump into, unless anyone else has anything to add on Outlaws, we can keep going. We're gonna kind of start off with our topic, which is remakes and remastered. The one thing that came up and that kind of sparked it was The Last of Us Part 2 getting a remake, or sorry, remastered version. Just to clarify, remastered is an improvement on the actual game. Remake is going to be a rebuild from the ground up. Just so that we clarify here. So it's getting a remastered version, improved graphics, there's going to be haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, all included with the new updates. Plus, there's also going to be a new gaming mode. There's a lot of uproar that a lot of people are saying it doesn't really need a remake or remastered at this stage of the game because it did come out as of the 19th of June in 2020. So it's been a little bit over 3 years, and we're getting a remastered version. Chewy, I know you played the game fairly like at one point as well, and I kind of was definitely wanting to hear your thoughts and feelings on your thoughts of it being remade or remastered. Pardon me.
Well, I didn't get into The Last of Us until remastered, so like if if it's for new fans, yeah, go ahead. The way they're doing this one, I think you're going to talk about later. It's not a full cost game for an update or an upgrade.
No, it's not.
So yeah, like again, the TV show, people may just be starting in the PS5 realm, haven't touched part two, so they might go to the remaster. Seems fine.
Yeah. Just to clarify, it is going to be a $10 upgrade uh, from the PlayStation 4 version to the PlayStation 5. Um, So, I mean, for those that have the PlayStation 4 version, I think it's a great value for that update. Um, it's also not a fully priced game if you don't own it. So, if you're going to be looking at picking it up for the first time in Canada, at least the price tag on it is $64.99, which I think is going to be kind of in the same ballpark of what it would be if you bought it. It's typically about $50 for the actual game right now. And then if you got the $10 upgrade, kind of puts you in the $60 range. So it's almost like you're getting it's and going to end up costing basically the same price as what it would be. Um, my thought is honestly, I was kind of dead set against it at one point in time. Then the idea of the remastered version of Ghost of Tsushima kind of sunk into my mind, which was that you got the update, but you also got the DLCs that were included. So it added that value where this game, there is actually a new game mode that's included for that $10 upgrade as well. So to me, it's I think it's worth the extra $10 for the upgrade. But I mean, for it to be remade so early or remastered so early, I'm not sure how I really feel about that part. Um, Irish Bandit, what do you think about games being remastered so quickly? Like, what are your thoughts and feelings?
I think there should be a little bit of a time frame for remasters, like maybe say 10, 15 years. Like don't just put out a remaster quickly. It'd be like Square Enix coming out and saying, hey everyone, you love Final Fantasy VII Remake? Here's Final Fantasy VII Remake Remastered." Like it's way too soon before even Rebirth comes out. But I mean, it's one of those things. Give it time. Let people digest it first before you decide, "Hey, we're going to do a remaster of this." Get a few more games in the series beforehand. But that's just my take on it.
Fair enough. Rock, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting timing for me. Like I've never played the games, I don't think I will. I think I get enough out of the show. So I don't mean to dog on it, but yeah, I don't think I'll be getting it personally. Yeah.
I know you're kind of talking about maybe picking up a PS5 and joining us as well at some point, but I know you haven't got that set in stone yet, anyways. But I know that's probably out of your realm, anyways. What about you there, Ryder? Thoughts on games being remastered so quickly?
Yeah, it seems like a big money grab to me, honestly, for remastering it this quickly. Uh, like remastering games is great and all. And there's a lot of remastered games that I really do enjoy, remakes as well. But yeah, to release one this quickly, I think it just feels like a big money grab. It's almost like they don't have any other original content to to release for the platform. It's like, well, we need to make money. People love this game, so why don't we just update the graphics, throw it out there, and people will buy it.
That's a fairly valid point. The good news is, though, Naughty Dog does have quite a bit in the pipe at least, and they are going to be focusing on the single player experience. So I am super excited to see what they have in store. They're one of my favorite developers. I know Chewy has them pretty high up on their list of his favorite developers as well. But that being said, it's perfect segue into what we think should be remade and remastered. So that is going to be our main topic today. So I want to make sure that we hear from Irish Bandit here first of all. He's got a few on the list that he was wanting to discuss. So if you want to take it away there, Irish Bandit.
Sure. Like you were saying, my list isn't as long as everyone else's, but I think the list that I came up with is okay for like remakes. I only have one remaster, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But first and foremost, I know, looking at our lists, writers and your lists, we all mentioned something Final Fantasy related. I
Absolutely.
just decided to put in like Final Fantasy 1 through 6, 8, or 9. I know I know Final Fantasy 9 has been heavily rumored for a long time for getting a remaster or remake. Sorry. What about Final Fantasy 8 getting a remake? Like, get that
Oh,
fully voice acted. You could get somebody really good for Squall, somebody good for Renoa, get somebody good for Irvin. Just remake the story from the ground up, kind of like what they did with Final Fantasy 7 remake. I think that and you can even go back to the other Final Fantasies in the in the franchise. Like, I know a lot of people would love a Final Fantasy 6 remake because I know that's one of the most well reviewed games there is. And even though I've only played bits and pieces of it, not the full thing, I'm gonna have to pick up the Pixel remastered version here soon and play it
Do
myself.
it, worth it.
Yeah, oh yeah, worth it. It's regarded as like one of the best games of all time, and you know how I feel about Final Fantasy VII, the original. I think that Final Fantasy VI is the best game in the series. So do a remake, and I mean, could you imagine Terra's theme redone, like kind of in the style that they've done Final Fantasy VII's music? That's a tasty proposition right there.
I gotta add, Final Fantasy VIII would be a dream of mine to see
Same,
remade. I
same here.
I we will talk Final Fantasy a ton next month, but that is, I'll just sum it up real quick, that Final Fantasy VIII is where my love started for that series. Squall was such a great character. I can't talk enough about it. I would love to see a remake done that for that one. I'm okay with nine. Nine was good. Um, but eight would be high up on my list. I'm one of the few people. Please don't butcher me too much in the comics or comments. I absolutely love seven, but I liked eight more.
That's
So
fair.
that's that's my thoughts there in that case. So, you had a few more there on the list.
Yeah, I did. There's going to be some overlap with a couple of these because I'll just skip my second one. I'll do that one next. But I know Ryder is going to have a lot to say about this one as well. Legend of Dragoon. Why that hasn't been remade or remastered is beyond me. Come on, Sony. Let's get on this. This is a great game. A lot of people have called it a Final Fantasy clone. I don't think it was. I thought it stood alone on its own merit for being just a fantastic game, great story, great characters. I love the Dragoon system. Why this hasn't been remade or why Sony hasn't thought about remastering this even in the last however many years is beyond me.
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. I have seen it everywhere that people have been screaming for that game to be remade for years. And I mean, I never completed it. I had it. I played it. I could see why the people love it.
Oh yeah.
And a
One of the games
remake
that
would
I
be
finished,
great.
one of the games that I finished that was like just left me at the end. I compare games like that to a really good, like I'm a big fan of anime as well. I compare games like that to watching a really good anime that just leaves me wanting more afterwards.
Fair enough. All right, and you had a few others there. I think you
Yeah, I
were
had another
talking
one.
about the second pick that you had there too, or
This is another one that Ryder and I are gonna share overlapping on. But I put the first two games in the series, Parasite Eve. This is one of the best non um, Resident Evil survival horror games that I've ever played. You had a great protagonist in Aya Bray. You had a great story, a great location, especially with the first one. Just a fantastically done system of because at that point I was more aware of the Final Fantasy VII, or we'll just say Final Fantasy way of combat. You know, the turn-based. Make your selection, attack. Make your selection, attack. At least with Parasite Eve, you could run, dodge, and shoot and attack your enemy as you're going after it. So, but yeah, other than that, this is another one that's no, this would be Square Enix needs to get on and make a remake or a remaster or something. Put out like the Parasite Eve bundle that has Parasite Eve 1, 2, and third birthday on it. Like you're
fair
just
enough.
leaving money there on the table there, Square
Yeah,
Enix.
yeah, and I mean, doing something like that now would probably really help them right now because I feel that they may have a lot to prove for projects that are not Final Fantasy related.
Mhm.
Ryder, why don't you jump in? There's overlap with those two games that he last mentioned, Parasite Eve and Legends of Dragoon. If you want to
Yeah,
comment on those
absolutely.
ones,
And yeah, and Parasite Eve and Legend of Dragoon, much like Irish Bandit here said, they were a fresh breath away from the standard Final Fantasy type of combat. You had Legend of Dragoon, which had it was still more that typical turn-based system, but you really had to actually focus on your attacks in order to chain your combos together. And if you didn't time your attacks properly, you did less damage. So it really kind of made you focus more on that aspect. Whereas, yeah, with Parasite Eve, it was a little bit more live action, kind of a little bit more attuned to what we see kind of in RPGs today, where everything's kind of more in real time, where you kind of have to think on your feet type of thing. So yes, I would love to see those two in particular get a remaster or remake. I know Legend of Dragoon, technically you can access that on PS5 Classics, but I believe that requires a premium subscription. It requires like
yes.
the real tippity top of the greedy money chain there, as I like to call it. But yeah, no, Parasite Eve definitely needs to be done yesterday, honestly, if we're really discussing it. But
And yeah, like you're absolutely right. It is on the premium tier. Last I've checked. The problem I have with it is that it's not a game that like the anything that you're getting that's classic is going to be cloud-based gaming, which is fine. But if you don't have a solid network connection,
yeah,
it's janky.
and that's kind
But
of what
yeah,
I've heard about it too.
yeah, yeah. But you guys are I would agree with both of those games for sure. I think you had a few more though there,
Oh
Irish
yeah,
Bandit.
Yeah, I had a couple more. This one, not so much a remake, but I would love to see a remaster of this one. Not necessarily soon because its 7th anniversary is coming up in September, but maybe more along the lines of 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary remaster of the game Doki Doki Literature Club. Now, I absolutely love this game simply because of the fact where you think you're getting just this fun, cute little slice of life dating sim, visual novel, whatever, but there's something darker and more sinister underneath. It has just this incredible horror aspect to it. If you haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's one I do suggest that a lot of people play because you're going to go in with certain expectations. It's going to be like, oh yeah, yeah, teehee, so cute, and then that first act twist hits, and oh, it just rips your heart out. But more than that, now we're getting into my dissertation mode here. More than that, when you uncover everything else in the game files, like you take one game file, you switch it around to an OGG file, and it becomes a sound file, but then you tweak it around again, and it becomes a QR code that you scan that goes to a website called Project Libitina. I'm hoping that is the next game that Team Salvato is working on after Doki Doki, because this has been heavily hyped with all the Easter eggs that you find in the game. Like you take another file, you change it around, it becomes this weird distorted looking picture that you have to turn into a 3D cube and saturate it that becomes the face of this girl. So it's all really interesting, and just I would love to see a remaster of this, maybe put in some voice acting along the lines as well, because I've heard some people do voice acting for certain parts of the game, and they've done a stellar job with it. Just something I would like to see personally.
And you had one more there, I think, on the list
I had
as
one more,
well.
technically two,
Two,
Chrono
yeah.
Trigger and Chrono Cross. I would love to see those get remade. Talking about not in the typical Final Fantasy vein of RPGs. I think that about Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Now we did get a Chrono Trigger remaster back in the PlayStation days, but let's just go all out and let's get a Chrono Trigger remake. That would be so much fun, and then a Chrono Cross remake after that, or maybe even a third
I
game.
There may have been some leaks. It's possible that there may be a Chrono Trigger remake in development.
Nice.
Again, this is a leak. This is not confirmed.
So
So
grain
there's
of
no way
salt.
for us to confirm it, but it maybe your wish might be getting granted. I did kind of overhear something about that a few months ago, so I thought I would double check. But yeah, it was teased by Square Enix back in July of last year. And yeah, Chrono Trigger and Chrono Trigger 2. So it's possible. So
Fingers
there's
crossed.
some news there for you. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my list.
Perfect. All right. We're gonna jump over to Ryder. We did kind of cover a little bit of Final Fantasy IX if you wanted to add to that, but I think that was
Yeah.
on the top of his list.
Yeah, really the only thing to add to that again is fantastic music, really good storyline, tons of fun little Easter eggs. I had tons of fun finding all the little side stuff, smashing many controllers over the secret super boss, which was Ozma. Yeah, yeah. So that's all I'll add to Final Fantasy IX. So definitely get that one remade ASAP.
Okay, and I think we covered Legends of Dragoon. That was on your list there as well. But if you want to keep going down your list there as well, if you have that there in front of you.
Yeah, I do. So yes, we covered Legend of Dragoon, Parasite Eve. One of the other ones that I would love to see get remastered or remade was the second Double Dragons, not the first one, but the third one. The first one was okay. The third one was terrible. Double Dragon 2 was where it was at for side-scroller beat-em-ups at the time. Probably one of my favorite games, and probably the game that I rented the most at the video store, either when I was in town here or even out at my grandparents'. Really tiny town of like 60 people, and the little gas station confectionery hair care and tire center had a little video game rental store built into it too. And Double Dragon 2 was always on the shelf, so every time I went out to my grandparents, I always rented this game, and it was just so much fun to play. So I'd love to see that one. Now they did come out with a Double Dragon game recently, to kind of more or less kind of rebuild that genre, especially ever since Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got their side scroller beat 'em up back in the game. I think there was another one. I think it was Streets of Rage or something along the lines of that. There was another one of those games that got a new game added to kind of like that repixel genre. So I'd love to see Double Dragon 2 kind of get back into that as well.
I vaguely remember there being an arcade version of it. I know Chu and I used to frequent Wonderland in town a couple times, and I vaguely remember that being one that we would play in arcade mode at one point. But if we did jump into that one, I can't remember for sure if it was there or not, but I vaguely remember there being an arcade version of it and having a blast with it. But
yeah, and speaking of arcade games and side-scroller beat-em-ups, that brings me to the next item on my list. I did mention this one in our last episode, but X-Men the arcade game. Like I said, I pumped so many quarters into this cabinet back in the day, and I would always play as one of two people. Like, it depends on who was playing with me at the time. I was either always Wolverine or Nightcrawler. Those were the only two characters I ever played when I played that game, because I thought they were the best. So yeah, having an X-Men. Yeah, there we go. See, exactly. See, Chewie knows what's up. So that one I definitely needs to see the light of day again.
I mean, who doesn't love Wolverine though as well? I mean, he's basically everyone's favorite X-Men for the most part, at least anyways. So yeah, I'm with you there. Kind of feeding off of that, I would have loved to see a X-Men Origins Wolverine game remade. I didn't really hit my list because we're getting a Wolverine game apparently in 2025. Yeah. But that one was phenomenal. I do remember the arcade game. I do remember playing it on Sega Genesis back in the day as well. If it is the same one that I'm thinking of.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. All right, moving on. What was the next one on your list?
This one has been rumored for quite a while. It's been on, it's been off, probably more times than the pair of pants I'm wearing today. But Knights of the Old Republic, I think, is the next one that I think needs an official announcement for a remake. I know this one's been, like I said, it's been on, it's been off a couple times now. There's no real, I don't know if there's any real news on it anymore. Last I heard, I believe it was canceled. Because I think, was it Aspire Studios, I think, was the last dev studio to handle it. I can't remember. Probably should have looked that one up beforehand. But
Sony had a commercial out on it. They claim they lost the music rights to it, and that's why it was pulled. But it hasn't been canceled.
Okay. So either way, that one definitely needs to be done.
Yeah. I know that was on Chewie's list as well, if I remember. Yeah. Did you want to jump in and add something about that one as well?
I just did.
While you were yeah. Okay. No, I thought you might have had more, but that's okay. All right. Wanted to make sure you had that opportunity. Okay, moving on then to your next pick.
Actually, I'll talk about these both at the same time.
Sure.
They were on different systems, but aside from the original Doom and Duke Nukem, which, by the way, I think Duke Nukem needs another chance, but after their last game, that one really kind of, I think that one's been dead and buried for quite some time. I don't know if that one's ever coming back, but
it can stay
probably
dead and buried.
Yeah. Damn. But probably two of my favorite non-PC first-person shooters was Perfect Dark for N64 and Time Splitters 2 for GameCube. These games were absolutely phenomenal, and much like GoldenEye, and we'll talk about that one a bit later, and maybe in terms of like the good, the bad, and the ugly side of remakes. But Time Splitters 2 and Perfect Dark were probably two of the most amazing first-person shooters on consoles I've ever played. Just because there was so much more stuff to do rather than just go around and shoot people. The harder the difficulty, the more stuff it made you do in the game in order for you to get out of the level. So you couldn't just, clear an area of enemies. You had to go steal a key card. You had to prevent, a nuke launch. You had to, steal alien eggs or, what have you. So yeah, no, those two particular games were so fun. I would love to see those get remakes, especially with today's technologies.
I do
With
have
how
something to add on that. I do have something to add on that subject as well. So I have some news here for you too, by the way, there, Ryder. But I'll let you continue there first.
okay, well, now I'm kind of curious as to what this news is, but yeah, like I said, having those two particular games be as good as they were in their era, and bringing them into today's fold of new engines, new tech, new graphics, new sounds, and all that fun stuff. What do you got for news?
Okay. So this was published in August of 2023. Perfect Dark's upcoming reboot is on its way from Tomb Raider publisher Crystal Dynamics. It is going to be a Xbox Series X and S exclusive. From what I've been hearing as well, it's going to be episodic. So we are going to get episodes that are going to be released. We don't have that last part. I haven't been able to get confirmation on for sure, but a Perfect Dark reboot is happening. But yeah, it's Xbox exclusive. I mean, chances are you'll probably see a PC port a little bit quicker than what you would if it was released on
God,
PlayStation anyways. But
yeah, I imagine they'd probably put it on Game Pass first before PlayStation gets a sniff.
oh, absolutely. But it is being done by Crystal Dynamics, which you and I are familiar with the Tomb Raider series. They are a fantastic developer when it comes to that. So I've never had a chance to play it, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that goes. So maybe that might push you to get a Series X as well. Come join us on both systems.
You
Hey,
ever played
hey,
Times?
Microsoft.
Oh, go ahead.
I
I
was gonna say,
can't
hey,
see that
Microsoft,
not
if you're
going to PC.
sorry, that's okay. I was saying, Microsoft, hey, if you guys want to sponsor and send us some Xboxes, that'd be great.
I was just gonna say I've never played Time Splitters, but or two even, but Perfect Dark back in the day, like even just like the multiplayer was pretty revolutionary. Like the guns that you had in that, like I'm not sure if I played a lot of first person shooter multiplayer games at that time, but like there was like rail guns and there's turrets and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
That was pretty crazy. It was lots
it
of
did
fun.
follow a lot in the footsteps of GoldenEye in terms of how the combat pacing went.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because I heard that there's a lot of inspiration from GoldenEye.
Well, didn't Rare put out Perfect Dark? And they
I
did
believe so. Yeah.
GoldenEye. I know they did GoldenEye for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we could talk about that one for a while, but we'll keep you posted with any kind of news we get for the Perfect Dark remake. I think that I won't, of course, be able to speak on behalf of Sony or Microsoft by any means, of course, but I would not be shocked to see that we have some showcases coming up in the near future for both systems. Where I would be happily willing to put money down that we'll see something before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hits next month. Uh, I'd almost be willing to guess that we'll see it by the end of the month. With hopefully we might even see a demo, but maybe we'll get some kind of more updates with that as well. Anyways, that's not the end of your list there, Ryder. So if you want to
No.
keep going there as
Well,
well.
we'll finish it off with one more. We'll step back towards the realm of Final Fantasy. But this is one I had a lot of fun of. Had a lot of fun with, especially on like Game Boy Advanced. And PlayStation, or I think it was PlayStation, anyways. But anyways, Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Advanced. This definitely broke the mold of Final Fantasies, with a couple of other ones that were kind of but I think when it came to probably another one of the more popular series of Final Fantasy games, the Tactics series was absolutely phenomenal. The gameplay was so much fun. It introduced us to a whole lot more in terms of the Final Fantasy lore that is kind of carried forward into other games. So yeah, no, Tactics and Tactics Advanced, I would love to see them. I don't know if you could really remake them, but giving them a a nice remaster with new graphics would be right up my alley.
Some more news. it might actually be happening. Again, unconfirmed. Last article I see here was for December 5th, but there's talk that it might be happening here as early as the spring. We might be seeing a remastered version of it. But again, unconfirmed. I won't be able to say for sure that this is happening, but I think you could sign up at least Bandit and Ryder and I up for that one for sure. I did kind of hear something about it before, which got me kind of interested in double checking. So, yeah, remastered spring is kind of what they're aiming for. Oh, more news there for you. So you picked a couple games that are being eyed. So you might get your wish come true then.
Come on, Parasite
Um,
Eve.
yeah. I that one's been thrown around a lot too. There, Irish Bandit for sure. Chewy, you've got a couple good ones on there for sure that I will hear from you on as well.
Yeah, my wish list is mostly remakes. I don't really see point in remasters. I don't retouch games, so it's mostly the stuff I missed when I was too young, didn't make my own money, and couldn't play games. I had to beg my parents to buy. So my list is the original Resident Evil. That'd be really nice. They're coming up on their some anniversary, some milestone anniversary.
I will double check, but yeah.
So they may as well give that the remake. I know there's an HD remaster, but that fixed camera, I just can't do that anymore. A Gears of War. Go ahead.
22 years, by the way. 22 years, by the way, for Resident Evil.
22.
22 years will be this year.
Right.
I am fully agreeing with you on Resident Evil. Capcom has come out and said we're not done remaking the Resident Evil series. And I am absolutely there with you. And the one that I actually have, I'm going to just touch base. That's on my list as well. That's kind of connected and I think is a little bit more likely that we're going to see an announcement on, which is Resident Evil Code Veronica, which follows Claire. But I would be very, very happy with the original being remade as well. So either one of those, I think, is going to be in their pipeline. And I hope it's actually the first one. Code Veronica is supposed to be really good. I've never played it myself, so I'm all for it being remade as well. But anyways, go ahead.
If they're at year 22, may as well wait till year 25 to remake the original.
May as well.
Right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So Capcom, if you're listening, there's a money idea there for you. Do 25th year anniversary.
Although don't take our advice if you can't do it because we said it. Just continue on with your plans.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So moving on.
Gears of War would be cool to remake the original trilogy. Bundle them all together. I could play all three for the price of one. That'd be great.
They're on that front too. They are making an announcement this year too for Gears of War. We don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be 6 or what you're hoping for, which is remakes. I'm almost thinking we're going to see remake of 2. But anyways, sorry to mean to cut
I
you off
imagine
there.
that would be 6 more than a remake, but
yeah.
Army
Absolutely.
of 2, that'd be fun.
Yeah, you and I killed so much time playing Army of 2.
I think
the back-to-back scenes were so much fun.
I remember the back-to-back scenes. I don't remember the plot line or anything. That's why I'm willing to do a remake on that. Today's like Ryder said earlier, bring it into today's music, automations, graphics, and then we could kill some time again. That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
The Resistance series, any one of those. I missed out on all those. That's my bread and butter, my heyday when I got into gaming, the Halo kind of era. So Resistance was kind of its competitor. As you know, I only had an Xbox at the time, so I never got to play Resistance.
I think that one is likely. just for the simple fact that Sony's in a situation where they're going to need to start coming up with a way to compete with Call of Duty. I realize that Call of Duty, and I know that Call of Duty is still going to be on PlayStation going forward, because I think it'd be a huge mistake with Microsoft to remove it from that platform. It's still one of the best-selling games on the PlayStation console, and they just spent $69 billion on
Nice.
getting Activision,
Nice.
right? So why would they throw money away? That's my thought, but Sony's still going to want to line up another first-person shooter. So I think Resistance is likely. I would also say that I would not be shocked if they ended up doing like a Medal of Honor game as well. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Knights of the Old Republic we've talked about, and then Beyond and Good and Evil has its 20th anniversary, but that's a remaster, I believe. And I want a remake, but again, I've only played partial of that game, and I remember it being fun, but I never did finish it. So, bring it up to today's graphics and let me play it again. And then my ultimate ask is Rock Band. There's never been a better party game in my mind. Rock Band was a blast.
I think that's the only game I could say that I probably destroyed my time in The Witcher in, just by having people over and playing that so much. And
You could build a band with your friends and like do the career with it. It was just a blast. I remember doing that in my first apartment in a different city when you came for like a weekend, and I think we ate and we played that game. That was all we did.
Yeah. And then I went back home and I maxed my credit card buying that same game so I could play it myself on PlayStation 2. Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw you put Rock Band on there, I was wondering if you were gonna say VR.
Well, like Beat Saber
So good.
is a very similar genre, but it's not the same. Like it's the camaraderie and the groupness, the partiness of the Rock Band that makes me want to remake on that.
But if you could
I
make it
wouldn't.
still a party game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, would you come over and play it?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I'd buy my own headset just to come over and rock out. Heck
Oh,
yeah.
in VR?
I'll be buying
Yeah,
2
yeah.
hours.
So you should, because Beat Saber is a
Yeah, I'm already
party
planning
game.
on getting a VR, but like
Yeah.
if they made like a VR Rock Band, I'd for sure buy one like right away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft revitalizes that one, just for the simple fact that, again, it's another one that they own and it's another IP, and they were talking about bringing back old franchises, and that could be an old franchise that they could be looking at. So
Yeah, it's 2
knows?
generations
Out
old
there.
now, right?
Yeah, I think there was a version that came out on PlayStation 4, but it kind of flew under the radar.
Okay.
It might have actually, it might have been Guitar Hero even. I'll double check that, but it was something that came out that was similar. But yeah, I'm on board with you for sure. It was Guitar Hero Live, and yeah, it was PlayStation. It was a Guitar Hero game. It wasn't Rock Band, so yeah, maybe we'll see something. Yeah. Anyways, I think that was your whole list there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So Rock, we'll move over to you. You've got a couple there that I think we haven't touched base on there yet.
Yeah, number 1 on my list is definitely Madden.
What? Okay, we need to remove him from the group immediately.
Of course, I'm joking. Of course, I'm joking.
I would have accepted Game Day.
Yeah. No, I'd say number one would be GoldenEye, and I know, like as Ryder was saying, it's like there's a little controversy there, right? Because it's been remade, but it was not good. It was it was not good.
I know it is on Game Pass, but you're right. They added a few different features, but it's not the same. It
It's
wasn't.
just it's
Yeah.
it's clunky.
It's a
It
little
does not
janky.
feel good.
Yeah.
Is this the one we tried out a couple summers ago? Maybe last summer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Last summer. Yeah.
Yeah, it could use like a remake or a remaster, I'd say. And apparently there is, and I won't like put too much effort into this because I'm pretty sure it's illegal, but it would be nice to have like a nice GoldenEye remastered, so it's not so janky. Yeah. Next,
All right.
next on my list is kind of like you could maybe group in 3 games into it. I don't care for the third, but it's the Donkey Kong Country series. I think those were some of like my first games that I was mad for. Like last podcast, we're talking about how I was playing Nintendo, but like Super Nintendo and Donkey Kong Country was, I just loved those games. I played those for hours and hours. Um, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest was probably my favorite of them. And I think I would lean towards giving them a remake and doing something new with them, you know, adding something different to them. I'd still like them to be like kind of side scrolly, but
Would that be enough to get you to pick up a Switch? Because we know as soon as those games come out, they're going to Switch.
yeah, I've been
It'll be
wanting
going
to
more butt switch.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to get a Switch for a while now, and there's like a build up of games that I would play, but I would definitely pick it up for sure.
Yeah, but at this point,
Uh,
do you wait till the Super Switch or the Switch
that was
2?
exactly
Or,
what
yeah.
I was. That's exactly where I was gonna go. Because there's the way that Nintendo has things lined up. There's no way that they're not making their stuff backwards compatible. It's
Mm.
almost worth waiting to see if there's going to be an announcement later this year. But of course, that's speculation right now. We can't comment on that either. And Nintendo's it's probably the most hush hush out of any of the 3 like console systems that are companies that are out there. And they're very, very protective for very good reason because they've been around the longest. But yeah, no, I agree with you. But yeah, I don't know. I would almost suggest waiting until see what comes out for their next system.
Yeah, I had a Switch there for a while that we had as the family Switch there, and it was fun, but yeah, the hardware just wasn't quite left something to be wanted, right?
Yeah.
My next game is probably my favorite racing game ever made, which was Diddy Kong Racing. So we're just sticking right along with Donkey Kong world here. But funny enough, that game was originally made just as like, I think it was some other racing franchise, and then last second they were like, oh, we're just gonna add Diddy Kong to it. But I loved that game. Like you had all kinds of different vehicles, and it was before Mario Kart, I believe, had that. Like Mario Kart was still just in carts, and
Yeah.
in this game you could fly. You had um, the what was it called? The hovercrafts, little tube hovercrafts. Yeah, they just had so many vehicles, so many things to shoot people with. It was great, and it was hard too. There was like a whole little storyline with it as well that made it a little bit interesting as a racing game. So for that one, I would probably say remake as well instead of remastered. Fusion Frenzy is my next one, and that's available on Game Pass right now. Like you could all play it. Fantastic party game.
You convinced me the one day you came over to watch The Last of Us. Like we gotta play this before we do anything. So
Yeah,
I remember downloading it and cussing you out a couple times of cheating.
Yeah, I played that game quite a bit, so I have a little bit more experience than y'all. But yeah, it's basically like Mario Party, but for Xbox, and I'm really surprised they didn't continue making them. So that's definitely some potential there for them to get that kicking up again. I'm not sure who even made it. I just feel like it's like an Xbox franchise type deal.
Yeah.
Next one for me is Kirby's Adventure. There are so many Kirby's games, like unreal. I haven't played half of them. I kind of stopped playing after Kirby's Adventure, I believe. So my first couple were for the Game Boy, which they were good, but Kirby's Adventure just took it to the next level. You could finally absorb enemies' powers, and it just created like a new.
I remember that game with you. I absolutely
Yeah.
remember playing that one with you.
Yeah, and there's like
Yeah,
little
that
mini
was so
games as
great.
well that made it really fun. And all three of those games, the Game Boy ones and the Nintendo one, they really pushed the hardware, and it got to the point that like the games were kind of laggy, and to be able to play those games and not have the lag, like even just if as a remaster would be good, because I mean remakes there's already so many Kirby games, so that's kind of redundant. Next is one I'm just excited for to play, and that's Mario Party RPG or Super Mario RPG. Already out, just really excited to play that. And then last of which is Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Redemption, which I have to play 2. Just bought that, but I'm sure that I'm gonna love it. And as soon as I'm done playing that, I'm gonna be like, okay, I want to play Red Dead Redemption. It's been ported to Switch and PS4, right?
Yeah. I will
But
confirm that
it's
actually. But
just yeah, it's just like a port. It's not like a remaster at all. It's still like 30 FPS. So there's still some room for improvement there. They didn't charge like a full price for it, I don't believe.
no, they
But
definitely didn't. It was another $60 game in Canada.
yeah,
But yeah, that would be
there was a lot of
a
controversy over that actually, where Rockstar released just a port, but whatever.
yeah.
Here, I'll wait for the remaster.
Yeah, it may not be a bad idea. There, for some reason, I got this game and Gun mixed up. I don't know, like for Gun was the first Western game I ever played, and I don't know why I didn't put that one on my list. I totally forgot about it. But every time I see Red Dead Redemption, I think of Gun for some reason. But yeah, I think it was kind of around that same time frame. But Red Dead was just took a little bit more of a more interesting take for the story. But yeah, anyways, I digress. I'll hand that back over to you. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's all my list. You're good.
Perfect. Well, I left mine out here. I figured I'd get into it a little after everyone kind of got, give everyone a break from listening to me, I guess. The one that really came to my mind, I don't know who else really played this one, is the Legacy of Kain series. I don't know if anyone else is really familiar with this. This is like Blood Omen, Blood Omen 2, Soul Reaver, Soul Reaver 2. The Soul Reaver series was the ones that I fell in love with, that I loved. It was one of the first storyline games that I ever played. And I was so upset that I never had the opportunity to play 2. Um, it took me a little bit longer to get a PlayStation 3, and by the time that I got a PlayStation 3, I couldn't find Soul Reaver 2 anywhere. And of course, my backlog with the PlayStation 3 was so large, I didn't have an opportunity to really track one down anyways, even with that coming up. But I don't know if anyone else had an opportunity to play that one growing up by any chance. At all. No. We did the next one that made my list. We already kind of touched base on, which was Final Fantasy VIII. I don't want to overkill talking about Final Fantasy here too much because I feel that that's a very common thread. I've said what I did basically for that one already. The Force Unleashed 1 and 2 were the next one. This one actually a lot of people really loved, and it actually got Sam Witwer. I hope I pronounced that properly. His start with the Star Wars series before he voiced Darth Maul and really got involved in the actual franchise. I did actually come across an interview with him before that. Basically, one of his friends said, "Hey, they're doing this game. They're needing a voice actor. They're doing the Star Wars game, and they kind of snuck his photo onto the and his resume basically into the list, and they called him up, and even his audition that he was talking about, and this is one of the things that he went so far in depth with his method of acting because it was also one of the first games that had motion capture, and it was absolutely revolutionized gaming that we have today. But he was talking about how he was trying to do meditation and he did it. He was all angry, and then George Lucas was in the room, was like, "What are you doing?" Well, that's how this character would meditate. Well, how do you know that? Well, he's uses the dark side of the Force. He's Vader's apprentice. Like Vader's not going to teach him how to actually meditate properly, and he's gonna force the pieces together, is what he said. So that was kind of the one thing that I actually really liked his commitment to that role, and absolutely loved that series. I lost countless hours playing that game as well when it came out. It was one of the games that I got for Christmas one year, and I played it. It was one of the first games I played over and over and over and over again, especially two. Um, I did touch base a little bit on Resident Evil Code Veronica as well. But as I said, that one is made my list over one just for the simple fact that I kind of feel like that's the progression that the remakes are kind of going. Um, and I feel like that's just it makes the most sense. After Resident Evil 4 was Code Veronica, and then we might be having a similar conversation with Resident Evil 5 and 6 that we're having with The Last of Us Part 2 remake. And the next one I kind of came to mind as well that I totally forgot about until last night. I Again, I'm not sure if anyone here is really familiar with it, but it was a racing game called Split Second. And what it was it was a arcade style racing game, but you'd be able to blow up structures and the roads around you and create different racing tracks as you went. And basically, you could, if somebody was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, go up the road in front of them or on top of them or whatever, and you'd have a building fall on top of them, and there'd be a new path for you to follow. And there'd be 3 or 4 different tracks that you can unlock during the race. And I just remember having so much fun with it.
You do that with a wheel, or was it
Uh,
always stick?
oh, it was the controller at that point, and it was on on PlayStation 1, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check it, but it was such a fun game. But maybe if they remade that one, they could incorporate a wheel. I think that would be a lot of fun. Have like rather than a shifter, you have a trigger button or something
Mm-hmm.
instead. That would be awesome.
I know.
Uh,
I don't know if you'll be able to blow up structures, but I know you'll probably be able to build in the new Fortnite racer game.
oh, that is we're never going to talk about Fortnite. Oh God. The next one, again, this one I will say remake slash incorporated into this Insomniac universe would be fantastic was The Punisher. There was one game that came out where Tom Jane voiced the Punisher. I see Irish Bandit nodding here. I'll probably get him on this as well. Was such a brutal game. You had interrogation, like you try to get information from a criminal, and you'd put their head in a vice, and you threaten to like tighten the vice up. And the thing is, at one
That
point
sounds like
in
the
time,
Punisher.
yeah, at one point in time, like if you just scare them and they start talking, you can let them go. But it was so violent and so bloody that you could actually do it, but the screen would go black and white because they wanted to keep the rating at teen. So they would never actually have any of the gore. But Tom Jane's voice acting was perfect for it, just because the Punisher movie had just come out just before that. As I said, I'd be totally fine with them doing a brand new one and incorporating it into the Insomniac universe or something. Maybe Bethesda can do something with that as well, considering they're doing games like Blade now as well. But Irish Bandit, you sounded almost excited about that concept as well there for a second.
I mean, I'm just with you on the fact that another Punisher game would be really cool. He's one of my favorite Marvel. I don't even think I can call him a superhero because he doesn't have any superpowers per se, but one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Yeah, he's up there for me as well. Just for the simple fact that Captain America is another one of my favorites, and I know it's weird that it's those two, but I think it's because they have this moral line, like they do not cross this line. Like this is it. Like Punisher, it's very sadistic, where it's like I have this line, you're a criminal, I'm going to kill you. You're innocent, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect you.
Did you ever read the
So
What If comic? What if Punisher became Captain America?
no, but
Oh, you
that
should.
sounds awesome. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Probably rename him
I'm
Captain
also
America.
oh, Captain Murderca.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. The next one that came up, I can probably group these two together a little bit because the gameplay was very very similar in my mind. Prototype and Infamous, and Prototype, you kind of had this creature that latched onto you, and you had the ability to grow weapons and stuff and cause havoc. And it was very. I find that there would have been a little bit of inspiration taken from that for Infamous. They were both very very similar games, I find. But I would be totally okay with a Prototype remake. It was. I remember going over to a buddy's place and playing that one frequently. Just hanging out at his place, and he'd throw the PlayStation 3 controller at me. And uh, the first one I played and really liked it, finished it, and I was a character named Alex. And then there was number two was Alex kind of became evil and killed this guy's wife, and then he ended up this new character, this new protagonist, ended up having the same abilities given to him, and his whole storyline was him trying to hunt down Alex and kill him, and basically take him out because he went rogue. Infamous, I know that they had Second Son come out at the PlayStation 4 launch. I know that I'm not the only one that played that one. I think Chewy might have touched that one as well.
Yeah.
But just the whole concept of, you had your good and evil scale, and I really liked Cole McGrath's story a little bit more. But I'm not sure if you really agree with that sentiment that Infamous really needs any kind of reboot. I know that the last one wasn't out that long ago either, but the first two would be good. So that was my list. Um, I I'm not sure any of them are going to be up. I know Soul Reaver's been kind of pushed the most out of all of the games that I've kind of mentioned. Um, but I feel that there's a lot of really great ones that are on there that that, and some that are in development. I'm sure some of them are out there that we're not aware of yet either. So that being said, we've wrapped up all the games that we think should be remade and remastered. So I think it's time for us to put the controllers away and power down. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in for the Level 1 Lounge.